Welcome to Content Chaos with George and Call, a weekly podcast diving straight into meaningful conversations about navigating modern life. Using their weekly review framework, they explore personal growth, professional insights, and cultural observations. No fluff, just authentic dialogue that transforms chaos into clarity.
Episode 50.
That's right. Episode 50. We did it.
50. Quite a milestone.
It really is.
So why don't we just kind of quickly, for people who are new to Content Chaos, introduce who we are and why we do this?
Why don't you go first since it was all your idea?
Because I'm totally springing it on you. But no, it's just one of those things is, if you respect an audience, you have to understand that people all come in from different starting points. So some people aren't familiar with what you're talking about or who you are. So it's important to bring them along. And so I'm Call. I am if you have to boil it down to three things, I say mom, nerd, animal fan. Like when they make you put those awkward descriptions and icebreakers on corporate calls. But I am also a professor of marketing, film, and entertainment marketing at NYU Tisch School of the Arts in New York City. I'm an educational consultant. I am a doctoral student at Rutgers University studying the design of learning environments because the whole world is being redesigned in the age of AI. The whole world of education, I should say, and learning. Because when the machines can do all the cognitive work, what should humans be doing? Something very different than what we have been doing thus far. That's my introduction. What about you, honey?
I'm in the unfair position of not knowing I was giving an introduction today, but
I'm sorry, I put you on the spot.
But it's not my first time giving an introduction. So this podcast, it was your idea based on a lot of what you just laid out there, and with your background in media and tech and education, it's sort of like the chaos that comes together. And I have been podcasting for a long time because I am an analyst advisor in the tech space around work technology. So I work with tech providers and help them understand what the trends are, who's buying what, why they're buying it from a technology perspective. And this could be anything from a job board to a payroll company to most people outside of my world are surprised when they learn there are thousands of systems that get used to hire, manage, educate a workforce, care for a workforce, et cetera. So I'm in that space, and my podcasting on the business side is about where's the capital flowing and what's happening with trends. There's never been a more interesting or challenging time to navigate those things. So that's what I bring is sort of the B2B side of Content Chaos. I've I came out of the whole HR world, but worked in tech companies, ran go-to-market, and was a founder in tech companies. So I've bought the technology, built the technology, sold the technology, and now I help people navigate the technology. So that's me, and So.
And sorry, I didn't know I was going to put you on the spot. I just made that up. We are in the unscripted world of doing our, DIY podcasting. So
yeah, you don't need to apologize. You did such a great job that it sounded like you were thinking about it before you got on here. So good for you.
You flatter me. So, and the other part of this was that George, humored my request to do this together. I didn't have the confidence to do it by myself. So he humored my request, and it's fun. I just have fun doing this kind of weekly review. So the whole idea of the podcast is once a week, do a quick review of what went well in the week, what could have been better, and what did we learn. And because things are changing so quickly in the world of content chaos, where like the veneer and the mask of so many things that we thought were something other than they are, um, those masks are coming off. So we're all experiencing this like kind of extreme world right now. But by reflecting together and deliberately and with some ease and humor, we get to create the meaning that we want to have in our life. And it's just good, nerdy fun. So
Yeah,
that
it is
is the
funny.
setup.
Yeah.
So let's kick it off with the first question. What went well this week for you?
Well, starting for me with the things that are, most important. This past week got news. I have a friend who just suddenly, a couple weeks ago, we found out had a massive tumor in his brain. He ended up in brain surgery. He's already, he's home, he's walking, he's not seemingly from all the reports from friends who have been able to spend a few minutes with him, he's not any more confused than he ever was. That's like, we would joke about, that's,
Yeah.
he's fumbling around a little bit. Sounds like him. But they're waiting on, the results, the pathology of the thing. He will definitely be in chemo and radiation, but that was really good news. So that went well. That was, there's always, when you have someone, an old friend, he's somebody that I grew up with going through that. It's always in the back of your mind. So that it was good to hear things are trending positively. Also, I wore the New Providence hat today. We got the big, message from the soccer coaches for the fall season. Our youngest team, they go to the bigger field, they call it a pitch, the bigger pitch. The halves are now 45 minutes and the team is twice as big as it ever was. So a lot of kids that she's played with before that are good friends are coming back to the team. There's a third coach, and this is me manifesting positivity until otherwise that's going well, because we always have some what could have been betters involving youth sports. So I'm just going to go with it's going well. Hasn't started, doesn't start for a few weeks, but I think she's excited to, we'll be playing on the high school pitch, so yeah, that's going well. Business is going well. This is the start of a really busy time. I've been working on HR Tech, but that's the big event for me every fall for a while. But once we get back from the Outer Banks, which tends to be the end of July, once we hit August, the rest of the world starts to wake up and start thinking about HR Tech and being there. So the inbound to me starts picking up with people with questions about the investor experience and the pitch fest there. Those are the things that I run for them via WorkTech. And, it's just a busy time. And there's a lot of, like I said, there's never been a more interesting or challenging time to help people make sense of everything in the market. So a lot of people need help. So outside of HR Tech, a lot of new things happening, and that's good. So that's me. How about you?
Similar themes of, old friends coming through. I was so delighted, and it was just so awesome to have Liz Clark join
Oh yeah.
NYU Tisch last week. So Liz is a writer, and she is on the board of Montclair Film, and she is executive producer of a kids show called Whoopi and Fati. And she has pitched all the studios and had, series on Netflix and all the things. And she's so smart and down to earth and fun and just a good person. And it was like, so for the audience that doesn't know, I actually started off as her babysitter. And just kind of watched her grow up, and now she's married and has 2 kids, and she's coming to my class as a guest speaker, and I was just so impressed, and, it's just what life is just crazy, how things evolve, and I just really learned a lot from her, and, she also got me excited about NJ Film and just, the opportunity that's really, available here and happening here. Um, all the Adam Sandler all over nearby towns, your friend from high school. And yeah, so that was great. I also caught up with another dear friend from Notre Dame who's on sabbatical. We had just like a good walk and talk yesterday. And we had a really fun Saturday night sojourn to see a stand-up from a amazingly talented comic. Her name is Jenny Yang, and I think I don't know if I found her on Instagram or Threads or but now I'm one of her paid Substack people because I just love her podcast. She has really interesting people on. Some of my favorite writers and thinkers, and it was so fun. So she created this immigrant grocery store stand-up comedy tour. It's called Good Egg. And she's going around all over the country doing her stand-up in immigrant grocery stores, partnering with local organizing groups to have the proceeds benefit local communities. And it's one of the stories that she's telling is her struggles with her fertility. She was going through a long, grueling, brutal process to get pregnant, and it was devastating because it didn't work. And she created this tour to kind of tell the story and process through it. And it just, to me, it was just incredibly creative. And I loved meeting her, and she's got that little sparkle of star power that like she's just like really talented. So it was very cool. It was just very cool.
Yeah. Yeah. She was, she was funny, but also like her drive is like, I imagine she just collapses at the end of the night. Like the energy she gives off, she's wound up, and she talked about that, like being driven and all of that. Also, I've never been to or watched a comedian where I would go from like, oh, to laughing so many times. Like she told so many real stories about the infertility stuff, growing up, like, being the oldest daughter, all of these things. And like really, it felt as much like, and she said the tour was for her working her through her life. And it was like that. It was like watching a therapy session at times, but then she would, land the plane and make us laugh about it. That was cool. It was very different for me. I haven't been in a lot of environments like that.
Well, it's funny you should mention that because it does harken back to 2 other stand-up people we saw, as Mike Birbiglia and Sarah Silverman. And hers was post-mortem, and she was talking about like her parents dying. And Mike, he's always talking about his growing up, and then he went through that thing where he jumped out the window. And like, I felt with Sarah, they're all brilliant people. Like, to sit here critiquing them, I feel absurd even doing that. But like, I felt like Sarah Silverman's last one, that was a little too much of the like therapy session.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it was.
It was just like, come on, dude. I want to go to a comedy show. Like and like Mike was able to like have some deep stuff in there, but still we were like raucously laughing, especially as Sky Zone. When you talk about Sky Zone and people get like Maeve's friends have gotten injured there. But like I felt like Jenny, I literally did cry, but she got us back to like the funny stuff, which is not easy, you know?
It was also cool to see these young comedians just working on their craft and
Yes.
literally like live and in front of you. They weren't hiding the fact that they're testing stuff out. They're testing,
Absolutely.
and comedians are always doing that, but it was a little more raw. But I really appreciate that was, you're watching artists, so
Absolutely. And the young people she had before her were great. I liked them, and I've never, she like the cutting the duck. I mean, that was hilarious. It
yeah,
was, and they had PBS was there filming it for a special, so I'm excited for that. And then this is material she's using. She's going to have a 60-minute special. So,
yeah.
it was very, very cool to do that little night out in Chinatown. Okay, so that's what went well. What could be better?
Okay. So, what could be better? I'm going to start out by saying, while we might have won the battle of the hedges, but it's not clear that we're going to win the war of the McMansion. If we even get a chance to fight, I don't even know if that'll be a thing. So what's happened is, and anybody watching this or that's listened to this before knows that this has been years in the making. Literally, we had a gaping hole in the ground. They knocked the house down. We're in like year 3 now. Well, they started building the house, and once the framing goes up, it goes up pretty quickly. So now there's a full structure. When we finish this podcast, we'll probably go outside and we'll start to see some of the external walls, and the Tyvek start going up on the outside while they're working on the inside, maybe. But it's a monstrosity. It is huge. And it's not just us. It's not just me reacting to the size of this thing, in this neighborhood. It's multiple neighbors have like walked by or stopped their car as I've been walking the dog and saying, "Oh my God, like that house is ridiculous. It doesn't fit in the neighborhood." And I learned that this is, fascinating, that this is from Claude. I did a little research because we're like, can they actually build this thing? So I'm reading most New Jersey zoning ordinances, New Providence included likely, regulate a handful of specific numbers: lot coverage percentage, building coverage percentage, height, and setbacks, meaning how far back you are from the road or from the back property line or the sides. But many don't cap total floor area. This means a builder can max out every one of those individual dials, build right to the height limit, right to the setback line, cover the maximum allowed footprint, and end up with something that dwarfs the older, smaller homes around it while still being 100% air quotes compliant on paper. This is exactly the pattern that's led to a lot of New Jersey towns to pass separate McMansion ordinances, specifically because coverage, setback, height rules alone don't prevent oversized construction on small lots. And we live in New Jersey, like, unless you're way out in the boonies, you have a small lot. It's fine. Like, we have a nice backyard, we have a good front yard. But this is a builder who wants to build as much as he can or she can in order to maximize the sale price. And yeah, we've got a McMansion going in, and there's probably little to nothing we can do about it. So yeah, that could be
Yes.
better.
It is so frustrating. And I did a little video on Instagram about it, like, because my Zen garden is in the corner of the yard and it's under these 2 beautiful trees that are, back on the property. I don't think either of those trees is on their property. But now my Zen garden has, like, in my line of vision, it's like the giant, I'm calling it the high tower because we've been watching Game of Thrones, but it's like, it's not the noise but I know the noise is temporary. It's that this has been enshittified. It's that my little corner where I go for my quiet and my Zen has been, sullied. But as my friend Linda said, she's like, can you put your Zen garden on the other side of the shed? And I said, that's something to explore. I mean, I don't know if that's going to even be necessary, but because I was so pissed about it, I was going into my, spinning out and getting angry, and I'm going to, whatever. It was all very unzen. My reactions have been very unzen. And one of the things is like to accept that this is a shitty situation. And it is. I'm not going to pretend it's not. Like like your home. It's your home. It's where you live, and you feel safe, and you have some semblance of control. But actually, no, you don't. Like some builder can come, or there could be, flooding, or there could be stuff in the air, wildfires. Like we're all vulnerable. We think we're in control, but we're not. And so it's been in the parlance of Zen yoga, it's been a good teacher for me. And we'll see how I continue to deal with it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's what could be better for me too.
Oh, okay. You have the same, the same.
Same. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's, that desire to control and the expectation that things should be the way we want them to be, which is just not what life is. It's not what the world is.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to kind of respond to it in a way and channel my compassionate mind training and be aware of how I'm dealing with it. So we'll see how that goes.
I think it is, for the Zen garden aspect of it, I think it is temporary. And I think actually moving it would put you in a worse spot. And like anyhow, we talk about that, not on the podcast, but
yep.
Yeah. So yeah, it's, there could be beautiful people, like wonderful human beings who move into that house.
Yeah.
But I would like, if I was driving down the street and drove up to I'd be like, this is okay. Like, this is like one of these things is not like the others. And that's that house, but we'll see. They could finish it well. Who knows?
There's no accounting for taste. There's no accounting for taste.
Yeah.
And there's a housing crisis and all of these things. So.
Right.
Okay. So what went well? What could have been better? What did you learn this week?
So this week, the learning, was around, some of the job market stuff. And before I get into what I learned, what I learned is about a lot of the rehiring that's going on. But that doesn't really change the overall landscape right now. So I just want to say, for anybody that's going through anything, people are still losing their jobs. The economy is not doing well overall. This isn't like an everything's great again kind of story. It's more about, the way I look at it. I've been describing this as, we've always had these like tech trends around AI and stuff, and around other technologies in the past. And we'd always talk about the pendulum swinging, like the hype. It swings one way, it swings way back the other way, and we sort of find a new center. And that pendulum is swinging so fast right now from one extreme to another constantly. The narrative changes overnight. You can't keep up with it. But what caught my attention is, Robert Half found that more than 30% of hiring managers who eliminated positions after implementing AI have already reinstated those same roles. And Gartner is now projecting that half of the companies that cut customer service staff because of AI will be rehiring it by 2027. And so that's the piece, right? Like it's not that the AI hype was wrong. It's that the correction cycle is happening, faster than it used to. So like companies cut and realized AI couldn't do the job at the scale they bet on, and they're rehiring, within a year or less, or maybe within 2 years, but not 5 years later. Like in past cycles, the pain happened more slowly as these technologies sort of created more opportunity almost. So jobs shifted and were changed, but over like a 5-year cycle. So it wasn't like we're letting go of thousands of people tomorrow. It was more like reskilling, and people leave and move on, or their jobs change. And there might have been people caught up and going through some pain before, but it wasn't like this. And you can see like the bigger numbers too. So as of this month, there were over 300 layoff events in 2026. It affected over 200,000 workers. And over half of those cited AI and automation as a factor, which in my personal opinion, there's a big smokescreen there. They also overhired and mismanaged, and their forecasts couldn't keep up. But at the same time, 92% of companies say they're planning to hire again now in 2026. Tech job postings are still up in double digits year over year. So the two things are real at once, the pain and the shift back to hiring. I think it's probably, hopefully that means as we, there are a lot of other factors around the economy and the job market that could make this not true. But if there's some semblance of stability, folks could get back to work, or things could look better as we're going through a time with, we'll get into the holidays and the end of the year where things generally slow down. So hopefully those hirings will happen between now and then. So that it was just really interesting to dive into that this past week, and as I'm working on other stuff. So
Yeah. I mean, it's that two things can be true at once.
Yeah.
Like, and it's in entertainment, it's like people are mass unemployed or underemployed. And there's kind of like a real freak out. People are using, they have to go into their 401k to pay their mortgage, or to, just to get by. And then young people have nothing to come into. So there's no kind of apprenticeship. It's like that's falling off. But I don't mean to go on a tangent on your learning thing. Oh, the other one was entertainment and ed tech. That's another area where I know a lot of people, and that's also contracting. So there's certain sectors that are just, and I'm like, the people reaching out to me are younger than me. Like I'm 51, and definitely in the stereotype of you're like too old now, and all of the age discrimination, all that stuff. But these are people who have, less than 10 years of experience. And I hope that they land. I don't know. Yeah. I hope one of those theories is going to come true for them.
Yeah, it may or may not, right? I don't know. I say that because, there are industries that are more impacted than others, job types, careers that will be more impacted than others. In some cases, will there be entertainment? Yes, there will be. What's that going to look like? What are the roles going to be? I think that's, there's so much happening with all the mergers and acquisitions and things that are like, I don't want to get you
private equity. It's just grotesque.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
what about you? What did you learn?
What did I learn? So I've been learning a lot about learning. This is part of my graduate studies, and I'm studying design of learning environments. And one of the theories, I like to live things and experience them, and then get to the theory and see what I agree with or not, as opposed to the opposite way. And so I've been learning about this cognitive load theory, which is I can't even remember the guy's name, but it's from the 80s, and it's basically that people can only retain a certain amount of information. You only have like certain amount of space in your working memory, and then it has to get repeated enough times before it to go into your more permanent memory. And once you have mastery and you've done something enough times, you're not even putting effort. It's kind of that Malcolm Gladwell concept of 10,000 hours, that you just know reflexively know how to do stuff. So you're not using that. I'm butchering the concept, but it's very interesting to learn these things that I have intuitively experienced, and also that concept of attention that really drove my kind of media entertainment career, marketing, all those things is also super applicable to learning, and also, neurobiology, mind training, like learning and entertainment and all the focus on attention, they really converge in ways that are very interesting. So I did a little study of my class at NYU and analyzed the structure of it, how it's all designed, and applied some theories to it and how I would change it and, make it better and more, make it so the students could learn more. So it's, yeah, learning a lot about learning. It's
Cool.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely only have a certain amount of space in my brain that
Yeah. Yeah, and then people people shut down. They shut down. So too complicated, bye. I'm done.
yeah.
And that's also why everything is shifting to video now, like all journalism. It's like nobody's reading. You just go to do your videos on Instagram because that's how people consume information.
Yeah. Well, we did it.
Yes.
50.
The big 50. Thank you, Fred Norris.
All right.
Thank you, listeners. And we will see you next week in episode 51.
Next time.